if you're anything like us, you've spent a fair amount of your time, either professionally or just for fun, crawling around under a desk, trying to figure out what cable goes where. In this episode, we swap a couple of stories and ask the question, why is it that everybody seems to have had this experience?
Opening that wiring rack to just see the disaster behind it.
Yeah.
I love this next segment. It's not based on a story. So we did an episode not too long ago where we were basically just sharing horror stories about our tech careers. And this reminded me of that. Came across this Reddit post. How can I find what goes where on a switch? And it just gave me flashbacks to crawling around on my knees under desks, unplugging network cables to see if the light went off at the it probably wasn't even a switch, it was probably a hub, or using a tone generator to run around touching cables everywhere in the building. I was not doing it the sophisticated way.
I don't know anybody who's done that. Why is this
you don't know anybody who's done what?
Done it properly, with the the right material. Why is this experience such a common thing from like our sort of, I don't know, career adolescence? Like almost every techie I know has had this experience of like crawling around on the desks and unplugging random cables and things. It's so common.
It is.
That used to be the only exercise I ever got was like crawling around under desks and occasionally standing on the desk to, I don't know, like get something from the ceiling or reach over to,
And every once in a while,
monitors around.
Every once in a while, I'd be in a building that had all the wall ports numbered to correspond with the switch number until they outgrew the switch. And then you'd find them like plugged into hubs and plugged into other switches to get rolled up, or cables run from other parts of the building that didn't have wall plates, or somebody unplugged everything from the switch to move it and forgot to label what number port each of the cables should go back into again. Such a disaster.
Yeah.
Why is it a universal experience? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, how else would you do it, though? If you're diligent about identifying the cables, putting numbers on both ends, if you're diligent about documenting the network, if you're some of the cases in here, they're saying like, well, use the switch to figure out the port address of every device on the switch, and then you can use your RMM to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
I guess at some point you get to a level of sophistication that you can do that, but maybe it's just that that's not where we all start.
Yeah, I never got past, never advanced in my networking career to get,
Neither did I.
I learned the basics of plugging things in. Okay, this bit connects to that bit. Right, fair enough. Actually, like analyzing network packets and electrical signals and stuff like that. Yeah. When I was sysadmin back in the day, I did not give two flying shits about cable management as well. Like it seemed to be an unnecessary and pointless activity to try and organize the cables at all. And you always regret it because you'd have to go. It would like continue to sort of morph into a ball of spaghetti, and then you'd be looking at one cable and no idea where it plugged into on the other side, even though they were just a meter away from each other. And but I never actually got to the point where I cared enough to sort of use cable ties or I don't know, color code things, or even use a permanent marker to label the things on each end. But did you?
Yes, but I was never good. so I always wanted to organize the cables. I always wanted to have everything zip tied up, and I do. Like even on my desk here, I do a pretty good job of it. But it always gets to that last bit where you're like a couple extra power cables or some connector that doesn't quite have someplace to fit. So I have it like 90% good, but then some stuff that's like shoved back behind the cabinet. I don't know what to do with this. We'll just hide
It just
that
needs
part.
constant vigilance. That's the problem. And when you get everything that fits and you have everything that's all very neat and tidy, that's the problem. Adding one more thing means that it doesn't fit into the to the system anymore.
Oh, this is super risky. So I just typed cable porn. I don't want to do that. I don't even think I'll let the page load. All right, let's abort that exercise very quickly. I don't even know what was the underlying request. I realized I needed to pull the ejection seat handle on that one. There are people who take it very seriously. There are people who are very good at it. I'm the guy crawling around in the dust. I think part of the issue is, like, if you're an enterprise, if you're a hosting facility, you have to know where these cables go. So you document it. You have standards. You have procedures. But if you're a small business, then you do what you got to do. You probably bought your networking equipment at Best Buy and you're up and running. So.
And honestly, it's the most practical way of figuring out how things work. Unplug it and see who shouts. See who starts complaining.
Right. So share your horror stories. Like, this is what the comments are for. Or come to Discord. Yeah. And God, it's an experience that we've all had. The video that we did about tech horror stories did pretty well too. I think everybody can associate with this. So I don't know what else there is to say about this, but man, seeing that headline is like, oh my God, it gave me flashbacks for sure.
Yeah.
PTSD on like walking into a new business that you just took over support for, seeing their server room for the first time. Oh my God. I do some like event hosting, AV stuff. Like I produce this show. I produce some video for other organizations. And we were doing something in a pub and they had audio throughout the entire pub. And I said, hey, can we just tap into your system instead of bringing our own speakers? And he's like, yeah, if you can figure out how it works. We ended up bringing our own speakers in.
Oh, okay. Right. Wow.
So that kind of stuff. But all right, fun episode. We'll see everyone tomorrow.